a significant population has actually undergone at least one dose of the vaccine. So I think to that extent, our ability to handle uh, the COVID for the economy as a whole has improved substantially. And also in the second wave, it was not a universal lockdown. It was lockdown in it was more like lockdown in few states and for different hours. So that way it was not a total disruption of economic activity, but nevertheless supply chain certainly got disrupted. And perhaps the impact of the disruption in supply chain is seen in the inflation rate also, because inflation is not as much attributed to the demand side as it is attributed to the supply side. So that's the other major change which we have seen. But as I mentioned, that post June 16th, with the unlock happening and the economic activity coming back, I feel that going forward things should look even better. Because last year for 2 quarters there was hardly any economic activity. This year it has been just about 1 quarter, though the impact has been quite severe. But nevertheless, the vaccination has once again given a hope. So that's how I compare the two. And hopefully, um, the kind of support which has been extended by the government through the ECGLS in the past, and also now also there is a lot of focus for creating healthcare infrastructure. So that will also go a long way in terms of creating more opportunities in the economy for more of economic activity also. The way I look at it is inflation challenge, if at all, the supply side constraints are addressed, which to my mind, with the unlock happening, those challenges have been addressed to a greater extent. And also, if the monsoons are good, so when it comes to the CPI, I hope that we should have much better position. But yes, of course, when it comes to the fuel, etc., that is certainly on the high side, which is also attributed to partly to the global conditions. So I think overall, on balance, I feel that maybe as of now it is 6%, but maybe once the supply side constraints gets addressed, it should come within the range which is required, which is the expectation of MPC also. If you look at the things beyond beyond the near term, for the economy as a whole, perhaps the most important challenge is the revival of the growth. So I think there is, for revival of growth, though interest rate may not be the only determinant, but nevertheless, if at all it's a soft interest rate regime, it certainly encourages people to borrow. So that is something, and that's the way the revival of the economic cycle will really happen. I don't think that there would be more rate cuts, but there may not be rate increase. When it comes to revival, of course, I think this year's budget was very, very pragmatic budget, particularly from the point of view of push from the government
Public
in the
expenditure.
infrastructure sector. And normally, invariably, we have seen that in such situation, actually, government takes the first step. So that is something which was very clearly and very, very clearly demonstrated in the budget. So I think with the revival of the economic activity and the kind of focus which is there on the infrastructure, particularly road sector, I'm sure it will be one of the frontline sector to really recreate the economy. And of course, the other very important sector which has emerged in this financial year is the export sector. We have seen, and actually it is attributed to the fact that the global economies are looking up, particularly whole of West. And with that kind of a situation, and also China is taking care of its own economy in terms of the steel, etc. So that gives a whole lot of opportunity for Indian steel manufacturers to export. And that is the other very important core sector which will actually contribute to the growth. I think apart from that, FMCG and the pharma would be the other sectors where perhaps, they can become the real growth engine for the economy. And I'm sure with little more positivity, which will be seen, we are already at we have got about 39 crore odd people already vaccinated. I think once we move little ahead, and also there's a certainty of the vaccine being available, I'm sure the positivity will come back, and which will have a further impetus to the various growth levers, which are already showing some positive signs.